Hi. Have you ever wondered what it would take to become a celebrity, a star? What about if your children wanted to do this? In the world we live in today, you could say everyone thinks they're a star because we've got social media proliferating and creating a lot of illusion. But today, my guest, Charlie Winfield, who is the co-owner of FFT Models and a very long-time agent who was a child actor, is going to shed light on what the world of acting, modeling, commercials really means and what it takes. So thank you very much, Charlie.
Not at all. My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Okay. I'm sure you deal with people all day long who say, I have what it takes, or I take a nice picture. I want to be a model. What's your first response to that?
It's not about what you want, or what you think, or even how you see yourself. It's about this industry and what people are looking for. It's about realistically about you being a facilitator, you being able to facilitate the needs of the advertisers. What are they looking for? Mm-hmm. They want you to be able to sell their products. What product? Any product, every product. It doesn't matter age-wise, ethnicity-wise, or gender-wise. I really tell you, it's not really about you at all. It's about the product. Think about yourself. You're a real person. Advertisers are looking to sell their products to real people. What is it about you that makes you a viable commodity in this industry? The fact that you are a real person. That simple. As long as you have the passion and desire that you really want to do this. I mean, it is about commitment as well. This has to be something that you're really serious about. Because realistically, I tell everybody, look at it this way. It's called show business, but you get none of the show without the business.
Oh, good point.
Absolutely.
What does that business look like? What are the tools someone who presents themselves to you says, oh, Charlie, you're an agent. You own an agency. I want my child to be a model. I know they have what it takes to be a star. How do you respond to that?
Realistically, I feel like everybody does feel like, their kids want to get into this industry. This is something they really want to do. But it really does start with the child. I mean, it really does. They have to be the ones who really want to do this, not because mom and dad want them to do this, but because they show that passion, that desire. A lot of times, if you really pay attention to your kids, you'll be amazed at the things that they do just in their regular course of the day. Mm-hmm. And you see, wow, they really do have an aptitude for this. This is something that, you know what, they might gravitate towards this. They're outgoing, they're engaging, and they're just full of energy. And that's a thing I've noticed. Like when I started out in this industry, my parents hated the fact that I wanted to be in this, but I was one of those silly kids. I did things like I would go into supermarkets and put things in other people's shopping carts, or I'd be in department stores, and I would hide in the racks, and people would take their clothes out, I would pull their clothes back in. My dad thought I was just super silly, but my mom thought it was adorable. So she's like, you know what? He's got a lot of energy. I'm going to put him in acting classes and just see what happens. And once they did that, they put me in there. I never looked back.
And what did those early let's start with you. What did those early days look like as a child actor for you?
It started out like really with a lot of commercials. I did commercials, and my parents got me into roller skating at a really young age. That was one of the things that I seemed to really just gravitate towards. And I actually roller skate to this day. So I actually did a lot of stuff as a roller skater, but initially started out as a child actor where I was just doing basically just a lot of commercials, which was great. I enjoyed it, had a good time. It was just something I got into this industry and I never looked back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but for kids, we scout a lot of kids all the time. I travel all over the country scouting kids when we go to conventions. And it's amazing the energy that some of these kids have. And you really see their passion and desire. And I'm amazed at how talented some of these people are. And these kids are, and they have no idea until you really get in front of them. And you're like, oh my goodness, your diamond's in the rough. I mean, so this is a really good industry for kids and adults as well. But I find the kids are a lot, because they're new, they're fresh. They just seem to have a lot more energy, and they have no embarrassment. They just have that energy. They want to do this. They really show that passion. That's really the biggest thing for me is the kids really just show that they have that passion and desire. And you can tell right away. We meet kids all the time who think they want to be in this industry until they get in front of somebody and they just clam down. They're quiet. They become very reserved and shy. But then some kids are just full of beans, and it's like, oh my goodness, they just engaging incredibly. It's wonderful. I love it.
And How do you think imagination plays in there for a young child?
I think that's paramount. I mean, that's key. I remember, because my parents used to read books to us when we were little kids, and they would act out the characters. I tell everybody, that's a great way to kind of segue your kids into this, because reading is a great thing, especially for the kids, because it's a great way for them to act out these characters in the books. I do it all the time. I still do it. And I think it's fabulous. I think kids should definitely do that. It's also part of their training. And it starts at that early age. Those are ways you can tell right away, too. Those are really good signs and keys to tell. And a lot of times you just see kids who are just, I was one of those kids who, when music came on, my mom and dad loved music. So they put on the record player, and next thing you know, I'm in the corner somewhere dancing and just doing my thing. And they were, having those video cameras. My dad used to have those old-fashioned video recorders.
Yeah.
That he would play. He'd pull out a big screen and put it on the screen, and we would just go back and watch all these things. And I thought I would be embarrassed seeing myself, but I actually kind of got a kick out of seeing myself. So I would do little skits. I just had a blast with it. And I see a lot of kids still doing that now, especially with the onset of social media, TikTok and all these things. I see it. So it's a great way for the kids to really get into the industry. So I do always say, though, it's got to be with the kids first.
And what would a kid be required to do if they wanted to approach an agent like you? Now, obviously, you said you go around and you attend a lot of events where you're scouting or you're teaching and you're educating and explaining the industry. What do they have to send someone like you?
Well, the initial way to submit now is at our agency, we have a website. So people just submit on the website. They can Google agencies and then...
What's your website?
FFTmodels.nyc.
Okay.
Yeah, they just check our website, see the kind of things that we do, and it gives them a little background about the agency, how long we've been in business, and the kind of things that we do and what we look for. Because of the type of agency that we are, we work with all types. We do it. We kind of call it from the womb to the tomb. We have a little bit of everything from newborn infants all the way up to octogenarians. People who are 80 plus years old. And we pride ourselves on diversity as well, because we have all ethnicities, all shapes, all sizes. We have kids in wheelchairs, people with missing limbs, various ailments, alopecia. There's all kinds of things. So it's a wide open industry now. So that's one of the best things about this, that it's opened up so much, especially market-wise, because clients are trying to advertise to everybody now. So what a great way to get into this industry. And you can also have a lot of longevity in this. You can do this forever. This is a great industry for longevity. I always say, as long as it's something you understand and you really do your research and homework, and you can really see just how marketable you are, because there's so many things in this industry that you can do that people just have no idea until they really do their research and homework. That's one of the biggest things about this industry is we always tell people, make sure that you do your research, do your homework, because it is a business. You need to learn and know as much as you can.
What does that research involve? What do you think the main things people need to learn? Obviously, they need to learn posing, getting comfortable in front of a camera. But what else would you say are key things you would say to somebody, you just need to learn more?
Realistically, I think it starts in life. It starts with life, but as a training, I would always say get into an acting class. It starts when kids are in school plays, church recitals, community theater. There's all kinds of things that you can do to kind of segue yourself into this industry. It's about being comfortable, number one, in front of the camera. That's one of the biggest things, is to make sure you're comfortable in front of the camera, and you can really see how photogenic you are. It's a really good way to kind of get yourself in this industry. Yeah, because usually what happens with us is when parents are interested, or even just adults are interested, they submit pictures to us on our website, and we just have them submit 2 regular pictures, not professional pictures, just something that you take every day, a nice smiling face shot and then a full body shot, and then we review those pictures. We go through them, we look to see what is it about you. We're looking for your uniqueness, your authenticity. Are you marketable? Are you a type of talent that we see working every day? So we have to pay attention to the climate of the industry as well, because it's a tough industry. I do tell people that realistically 90% of the people that submit to the agency get rejected. But at the same time, it is about confidence as well, knowing the difference between being confident and being conceited.
Ooh, define those. That's a good point.
Yes, absolutely. Well, because it starts with that, because that's what clients are really looking for. You have to be able to show that you are confident and comfortable in your own skin. Because, we are our own worst critics. We can look in the mirror and find things about ourselves that, we don't like.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to also remember, this is a very subjective industry. What we may not like about ourselves, someone else may think is perfect, maybe exactly what we're looking for. So you have to have that confidence that shows that this is what I want to do, and not be conceited about it. If you're an attractive person or a talented person, it's okay to say or feel that you're attractive or that you're confident, that you're good at what you do, that you're skilled. That's wonderful. That's the kind of confidence that not only that we look for, but the advertisers as well. Because I tell talent, we only look as good as you make us look.
Right. And that's such a funny point because I think you also need the thick skin in a few ways, but one of them is to actually, when you actually see the end result of a campaign, and sometimes you think, oh my gosh, they really chose that picture?
Yeah. You never know.
Could I have looked more wrinkly if they tried?
People do it all
But
the time.
that's what somebody wanted.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. Yeah, because I think that really is the thing about that confidence. Because I tell people, number one, like you said, you better have a thick skin. If you want to be in this industry, you better have a thick skin, and you better have a thick skin now, because this industry will chew you up and spit you out. And it's not to belittle or demean or hurt your feelings. It's just the nature of the business. People want what they want when they want it. So, you have to have that kind of thick skin. Because, like I said, this is a really competitive industry. There are tons of people that want to be in this industry, but it also takes a special kind of person to really have the intestinal fortitude to persevere. Perseverance. That's paramount. This has to be something, hey, it may not happen overnight. It may not happen next week, next month, or next year. You will pay your dues. Believe me, you will pay your dues. It does happen for some people. Occasionally it happens like, wow, I got into this industry and all of a sudden I just blew up. But for the majority of us, it takes time. It takes a lot of sweat, tears, a lot of disappointment. You will get your back bent all out of shape. You'll get your lips all poked out. Nobody wants me. Nobody thinks I'm talented. That's where it goes back to. It's not about you. You want to do this, you have to stick to it. It's all about that. I tell everybody, it's all about patience and perseverance. You're not successful in anything unless you really work at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't just fall in your lap.
And there are so many decision makers involved in something.
Oh,
There's there's the agent that chooses to represent you. There's the casting agent that says they'll see you or not. Then there's the client, or there might be the advertising agency in between the client. Then there's who knows how many layers at the agency or the client. It's
Oh yeah, no. There's an order of hierarchy, and I tell everybody, talent, you're a low man on totem pole. You are the last one that everybody concerned about. So you just have to make sure you understand. That's part of the business learning of this industry, is knowing that, hey, as the actor, as the talent, I am low man on totem pole. There is always going to be someone above me that's going to have the final say. We all have someone to answer to. So it really just depends on, like I said, what people are looking for. There's no rhyme or reason to this industry whatsoever.
So somebody needs thick skin. They need perseverance. They need confidence, not conceit. Absolutely. What else would you say?
Well, once you have all that, acting classes. Then you want to work on, depending on what you do. Initially, it's always going to be your pictures. That's one of the main tools in this industry are going to be your photographs, your picture and resume. For actors, they need a headshot that has a resume. For people who want to be models, depending on what type of model. They used to use comp cards back in the days, but now everything is digital. So everything is on websites now. So as long as you have good pictures that you can submit to an agency that has a variety of different pictures, it's really about that. Because I tell everybody, it's your versatility in your pictures that enhances your marketability, which in turn gives you longevity. Because you can work in this industry forever as long as you understand how to market yourself and show people that you're not one-dimensional. Because in this industry, if you allow people to pigeonhole you, that's exactly what they will do. As agents, I feel like our job is to not allow you to pigeonhole yourself, to really help you broaden that gap and show, hey, look, there are so many things about you that are viable. There's a ton of things that you can do in this industry. Don't limit yourself. Because once you limit yourself, you pretty much knocked yourself out of the game. You have to open yourself to all types of aspects of this industry.
So all types of aspects, and we were talking about keeping your pictures current, and you have to have a good headshot. How has the social media filter impacted when you can remove every wrinkle, you can change your hair color, you can change your eye color, you can remove 10 pounds if you wanted and lengthen your legs?
Yeah. But you know what? I mean, you can do that, but Really, it's you do all that and then you get in front of the person and all of a sudden you don't present yourself the same way. Like, wait a minute, that's not the same person that was in that picture. Your hair color is different. Your eye color, you've gained weight, lost weight. There are all these different things that social media to me, I'm like, oh, it has become the bane of our existence.
Yeah.
It's kind of, there's 50-50. Some people love it, some people hate it. It has its benefits, it has its detriments. I'm kind of in the middle. It has some good benefits, but I'm old school. I come from the days of, I want a good picture. And then when I bring, because you look at that picture, I tell you, think about it's that old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. But I tell everybody in this industry, that's exactly what we do. That's the first thing that we do because we don't know you, and we're going to judge you. So you want to make sure that picture is a good representation of you because when we're looking at pictures, we're really going through these pictures. We're not sitting here kind of hemming and hawing. Well, you know what? It could be. Well, maybe. I tell everybody, if it takes that much time, if it takes any time for me to sit there and look at your picture, I need to know right off the bat, this is a viable person. This is a marketable person. What is it about them that I see? And I have to think of it this way. I have to look at it and I have to make quick decisions. I tell people, if I look at your picture and I'm hesitating, I have any hesitation, realistically, it's a no. It's that simple. I should be able to look at a picture and I should be able to instantly and automatically see, there's something about this person. Because in that picture, it's about you being engaging. My first thing is when I look at that picture, I want to see what is it about this person that appeals to me. I don't know this person. I've never seen them before. But I look at that picture and the very first thing that should come to my mind, that looks like a nice person. I know it sounds simple, but it really is because that's all I have to go on. Now, if I look at that picture and I go, oh, you look like a nice person, I then decide, you know what, I'm going to bring that person and meet with them. Well, then that's when I finally realized, okay, well, you know what? That person came in and they weren't as engaging or as appealing as I thought they initially were. But that picture is what is the first step to get your foot in the door. So that, to me, is the most important aspect of this industry, is making sure that you have a good picture that represents you in a positive and in a way that really represents who you really are and what your personality is really like.
Do you have people who submit using the Shawshank Redemption approach of, I'm going to send FFT Models my picture every single day until I get it?
Well, you know what? We used to. Before, we used to get tons of mail literally every day of submissions of people sending in headshots and comment cards. But with social media and with the onset of the internet, everything is digital now. So, every agency has websites. So now that is the only way that you really submit. Occasionally, I do still get snail mail where people are sending in headshots and comp cards. I'm like, wow, who even uses a headshot anymore? Or who uses a comp card? I do kind of like it because, like I said, going back old school, I like a headshot. I like a comp card because it's a really good way, a good visual to see what this person like and what you look like in print. That's a really good thing because, we don't all take a fabulous picture. We may look good in person, but when we take a photograph, it becomes something totally different. So, you have to be aware of these things.
And some people look better in pictures versus video.
Absolutely.
Or video, they need that animation to,
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, so that's why I say it really is, you do have to have a good picture. And it's important to know how to take a good picture. What is it that makes a good picture? Because
what do you think makes a good picture?
For me, I look at one of the first things I look at the eyes. That's the first thing I look at. It sounds very corny. It sounds cliched. But
it doesn't.
It is true.
Can somebody get light into their eyes?
Absolutely. The eyes are the windows to the world. I can look at a picture and I look in those eyes and right away, those eyes say something to you. Your eyes should speak to me. That's what I'm looking for. Do you ever look at a picture sometimes and you get a picture and you look at it and it has the doe in the headlight look? When you look at the picture, it's kind of like, hello.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks vacant.
Yep.
That reads. We look at that because it kind of, if you look vacant in your pictures, we kind of assume that that's what you're going to be like in person. My thing is I want to see a smile. I love to see a big smile. I love that. Because that says to me right off the bat, that looks like a nice person.
Right.
Now, when you come in, you might be a jerk or, not a nice person. But like I said, again, that picture is your initial thing. That's what gets your foot in the door. The rest is up to you. But that picture is paramount. It's the most important aspect of this industry, in my opinion.
It's funny when you talk about going from comm cards to digital. I'm always amazed with any kind of agent that's as busy as you are at FFT. And you've got all these, castings you're trying to, casting agents saying,
Daily,
I've got
all
this,
day.
I've got this, I've got this. I mean, to me, I know when I have to edit a book, I have to print it. I have to cut it into things. I have to say, this really belongs over in this chapter, and this I should have put in, the opening, or I can't imagine. To me, it's got to be more difficult doing it digitally. I almost could imagine that if you had a bunch of comp cards, you could say,
Yeah,
this shoe company, I can just pile all these people and think about it. And,
Yes.
This lipstick, these would be interesting people for this,
Yeah. But I mean, digitally now it is a lot. I guess it makes it easier on us because we can really go through the pictures. It's easier to kind of just go through, boom, boom, boom. We can knock them right out, and we can tell right away. Like, okay, you know what? We can kind of put a mark on this one. All right, we're interested in this one. We're kind of interested in this one. This one's an absolute no. So we kind of know. It does make it a little easier where you're not having to go through a bunch of pictures on a regular basis all the time. The internet, because we can just zoom right through them, and we do. We really do. And we get hundreds of submissions daily. We do look at every single submission that comes in. But we're also very particular about the talent that we work with, because one of the biggest things that we tell people is it's about following directions. That's a key thing in this industry, is being able to follow directions. Even on our website, we have specific pictures that we want you to submit to us so that we can review. And I know it's going to sound terrible, but when
it's
a picture
easy
comes
to rule
in,
somebody out that can't follow directions.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
Because we go, okay, you have a visual example of what we want you to submit.
Yeah.
You would not believe the submissions that we get where people send in all kinds of crazy pictures and they're nothing like the examples that we've asked. And honestly, I tell them, if I look at a picture like that right off the bat and you're not following directions, it's a no. Because it says to me, why would I take a chance on my reputation? I value my reputation. All we have to go on is our reputation. And I look at it and go, well, if I put directions out and I want you to send a picture like this and you can't follow a simple direction like that, then I can't take a chance that I can represent you or send you out to a client. You might not follow directions for them.
I believe it, because I've hired people my whole life. And anytime I would hire people, I would say, cover letter mandatory because and I always said, make it original. I don't want a standard cover letter. I want to know that somebody read the job description, that they understand how they fit. And it was always so easy when people say, how come, I printed off, because I always needed to look at them printed. I'm a paper waster. The pile could have been this high, and all of a sudden in the afternoon it's this high. Then people would say, how'd you go through those that fast? I'm like, they didn't include a cover letter. Or it's this standard cut and paste cover letter that they called me John, or,
Yes.
Dick instead of Diane. I'm like, if you can't proofread, if you can't do these things, it's very easy to go into the pay no mind pile.
Yes. I mean, it does sound terrible. Like,
No, it doesn't, because it's a
real.
First hurdle.
Absolutely.
And you don't get paid unless someone gets the job and then does a good job and hopefully wants to get hired again by that company or another company.
Absolutely. 100%.
I remember somebody at one point when I was in 19 or 20 said, you'd be a good HR person. And I remember I sent my first person out for a job as a secretary. Right. And I called her up after and she says to me, well, I was 45 minutes late. I'm like, I can't do this. This is not an industry for me. I cannot rely that my income is going to be based on whether someone can get to the job on time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So God bless you, Charlie. No, you've got a lot of patience.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think in this industry, you have to.
You do. And you have a great demeanor. You're like Josh, the chief engineer here. You guys have these personalities that are mind-blowing, that you're chill.
Well, you know what? I think, honestly, my thing is, I really enjoy what I do. Mm-hmm. I love what I do. This is, I couldn't do anything else. There was a time where I was sitting behind a desk and I was doing a 9 to 5 and pushing paper, and I was like, you know what, this is just not for me. Mm-hmm. Even my parents, as an actor, when it came time to go to college, I took a year off when I graduated. I took a year off from school. I was like, okay, Papa, I don't want to do this. I want to go right to college. I want to relax. And my dad was a little disappointed, but in all my years, he had seen all the things that I had done, how I progressed as an actor. Mm-hmm. This thing was, look, I want you to go to college so you could have something else to fall back on if this doesn't work out. I said, okay, fine. So I went for a couple of years. I realized, you know what? College is not the thing for me. Because my dad was a computer programmer. And he was doing flow charts and pie charts. I'm like, okay, I have no idea what this is. This is not for me. I need to get back in front of the camera. So I wound up getting another show that took me overseas. And he was like, okay, you know what? You've been doing really well with this industry. You've been a great kid. You never caused me any drama or any problem. You know what? Okay, knock yourself out. And once I decided to become an agent.
That's what I want to know. Where was the crossover from being the actor to the agent?
Let's see. I stopped acting around the age of 20, probably like 21. Because actually, unfortunately, something happened to me in the industry that was somewhat traumatizing. And I decided, you know what? As an actor, with what happened to me, it hit me enough that I decided, you know what? I don't think being in front of the camera is where I want to be anymore. I want to make sure that what happened to me in the industry doesn't happen to someone else. So I want to really learn as much as I can about this industry and be a segue for talent who want to get into this and be there to kind of help them bridge the gap and kind of maneuver in this industry. Because it's a tough industry. It's a very competitive, it's a very tough industry. And my parents knew nothing about this industry when they got me into it. So I decided, you know what? I think my purposes would better be served behind the camera as opposed to in front of the camera. And I've never looked back. You know, I've loved it. I started out as a junior agent, worked my way up to an agent working at an agency, got relocated to Los Angeles, California, was out there for 9 years, and I call it doing time. I was in LA. LA was not my cup of tea. I am a tried and true New Yorker. But, you know, I invested 9 years. I had a great time. I had some wonderful times out there. I had some times out there. But when it was time to come back to New York, I was more than ready. And, you know, I've been back here ever since, and I've never looked back. And I mean, I love the energy of New York. I realized this is where I need to be. And at the same time, I personally feel like I'm a little biased. I feel like the best talent is here in New York. Because realistically, on the West Coast, it's kind of like being a small fish in a giant pond. When, you know, anybody wants to get in this industry, one of the first things they do is, oh, you know, I want to go to LA. I want to be discovered. Well, I'm like, okay, great. But everybody and their mother is thinking the same way.
Right.
But here on the East Coast, it's a little different because I think agents, casting directors, producers, directors, they really know if you're going to get talent, the best talent, in my opinion, is on the West, is here on the East Coast, because here on the East Coast, I feel like this is where the best training is. There's a lot of work on the West Coast, but at the same time, there's not as much work here on the East Coast. But what is here, and I think what most people in the industry realize, is that the best training, like I said, I'm biased, but I feel like the best training is here in New York. And
training as far as classes, as far
acting, improv, comedy, any aspect to learn this industry, it's here, in my opinion. And again, yes, I'm biased, but I do feel like the best training is here. And again, here
there is so much. There is so much. It's easy to get to.
Yes.
It's priced at all different levels. So, you know, if you're willing to invest in a career, budget should not be your object.
And here's that cliche. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. New York is no joke. This is a tough town, but it takes a special kind of person to really be successful here in New York City. You know, that's where that patience and perseverance comes in. You know, you do it here. I feel like, hey, once you've got it here, hey, you can take the world by storm. You know, but I feel like it starts here in New York, because New York is a tough town. You know, we all know that it's a tough town, but you know, it's true. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. I believe that 100%.
Do you think there's points where actors cross over from, let's say, print or commercials or television? Like, how does that all work in someone's career? I think this industry
can be all-encompassing. I think all the skills that you have in your daily life can also kind of bridge into any aspect of this industry. Whether you are a musician, you're a singer, you're a dancer, you're a model, they all kind of play hand in hand. Because realistically, it's almost like you're a jack of all trades and a master of none. You know, you do a little bit of everything. One of the things that kind of turns me off is sometimes people come in and, you know, ask them, well, what is your goal? What do you want to do? Oh, well, you know, I just want to do this, or I just want to do that. Well, once I hear you just want to do this, you just want to do that, that says to me, you've instantly limited yourself. And I'm like, and that becomes, to me, that becomes a turnoff because it says to me that you're not really invested in this because you never know what people are looking for. So why not learn as much as you can do everything?
Yeah.
It's not to say that you have to master it all, but at least be familiar with it. When I got into this industry, as an actor, I knew good and well, I could not sing. I still can't sing. So I did audition for projects that were singing, and people were very real and they were like, hey, look, you're adorable, but don't you ever do that again. There's no singing for you. I know I'm tone deaf, but I tried. I learned to try and play a musical instrument. I took dance classes. I'm an artist. I draw. I roller skate. I play golf. I try and do as much as I can. I try not to limit myself, and I tell talent the same thing. Don't limit yourself. Do a little bit of everything because you never know what people are looking for. We get asked for all types of talents in this industry. So don't limit yourself. There's so many, there are probably things that you realize that you can do that you really have never even tried before. Like limiting yourself again to me is something that will, that cancels you out of this industry. You have to be open to doing everything. You may not, like I said, you may not be a professional, you may not be great at it, but at the same time, at least try. Because if you don't try, then you don't, there's no opportunity and there's no such thing as failure. I don't even use that word in this industry at all. There's no failure. You work at this until it's just what you do. You work at it. It's a constant. I feel like it's a constant. You are always working on your craft. You are never going to get to a point where you feel like, okay, I think I've learned everything I can know about this industry. I feel like as long as I've been in this industry, I learn new things every single day. I learn from novice talent that come to this industry because I feel like the moment I feel like I know everything in this industry, that's when I know it's time for me to move on and do something else. So as long as I'm constantly learning, I feel like that's what keeps me young. That's what keeps my energy going. I love what I do. I enjoy it. I have my downs too. I want all the best talent. I want to book all the jobs. Realistically, that's not going to happen. But at least I know, I'm in the game. And I love that. My excitement, my success comes from the talent seeing that they engage in this and that they're successful because their success makes me feel successful. And that's all I ask for.
It's so funny. You just used a phrase. The last book I wrote was called Mastering the Rules of the Game. And it's a business book. But when people say, what keeps you going? I'm like, well, I'm playing the game. And people say, what do you mean by that? I'm like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a game and I just want to play it. And I want to know every day I'm getting a little better at winning that game. And
absolutely,
it's like this. But when people think, I always think in fashion of the monologue that I think it was Stan Tucci, gives Anne Hathaway. I don't remember the names of their characters in it. In The Devil Wears Prada, where he talks about the fashion business and, cerulean blue and, you think you're so, you're just this journalist, but you don't understand the billions of dollars that go into the fashion industry. So you look down on it. You think you're better than it. And it was such a like, wow, that's a really interesting model because until you're in a particular business, you don't realize the intricacies of the business.
Oh, absolutely.
People say they want an agent, let's say, but I don't think they even have a clue of what an agent's day is like and what that agent is doing all day long to have an agency, be a viable agent, pay their own bills, and make sure you're working. So what's a day in the life? We're going to have to do an amalgamation of a week probably in a life. But what do your days look like, Charlie?
Well, as soon as I come in, the first thing I do is I have to get into my email and then find out what projects are coming to us because clients are sending projects to us daily. And there are all kinds of, whether it's print, campaigns for print, campaigns for not films, but for TV commercials, some fashion, internet projects. So we're going through all these projects. We're looking to find, okay, what are people looking for? These clients are coming every day. They're asking for all shapes, all sizes. So we're really going through everything. We have to find out, okay, what are you looking for? So I'm sitting here. I have to go through and read them all. Then I have to submit to the client, to go through our talent base.
Now, does a client say, I'll take anyone you want to submit, or Charlie, you can submit 3 people on this, or how do those kind of
Normally
things
what
work?
they'll do is they'll send a project and they'll tell us what they're looking for. So they may say we're looking for a certain age or a certain ethnicity, a certain type. We then review what they're looking for, and then we go through our talent base. And when we then submit to them the talent that we think are appropriate for their projects, that they have final say. But we kind of go through everything. We put a list together, a package together, and then we send it to the client. That's pretty much the consistency of the day. The day is constantly going through packages and submitting. We then get auditions. Some talent get auditions, some talent don't. We'll send a package full of talent. The client then goes through that package, and they kind of review what they're looking for. They then let us know, okay, we want to meet these people, whether it's an in-person audition, a self-tape audition, or they want to see more pictures. We then send to the talent. We let the talent know, okay, you now have an audition, whether it's in person or self-tape. We send them materials. It could be sides or certain directions as to what the client wants them to do. They then have to go through that, follow those directions. They have to submit it back to us. We then have to review it, and then we submit it. We have them submit it onto a platform, a casting platform. We then have to review it to make sure it's what the client is looking for. If we don't feel like it's appropriate, we then go back to the talent, let them know you need to redo this. You didn't follow specific or certain directions. So it's a constant. We're going through contracts, releases. Our day is consistent. It's a constant. We have our time, to stop. We do interviews, but it's a daily thing of just submitting, of going through contracts. Luckily, we want to book the jobs. You have to make sure that when the talent book the jobs, they get to the location where they're supposed to go. They understand what the fees are going to be paid, if they get paid a certain amount, how much they're getting paid, what percentages come to the agency, what percentages they owe the agent. There's so many things. Our job is to facilitate their needs. Our job I feel like, is to look out for their best interests. That's why they have an agent. That's why you have an agent, to make sure that we look out for you. We make sure that, the project that you're on is a good project. It's a safe project. It's a project that's marketable for you, that's viable for the client. There's so many aspects of this industry on the agent side that talent have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
But I tell them, look at it this way. You really, really want to work. But more than you really, really want to work, as agents, we really, really need for you to work. If you're not working, we're not making any money. So we have to be on the same page. And that's why you pay us a commission. Because realistically, I look at it as your agent, our job is to look out for your best interest. But more importantly, I feel like we, as agents, we work for you. Because realistically, when you book a job, you make the bulk of the money. We only make a certain percentage. The bulk of the money goes to you. So we have to be on the same page. And that's why we spend a lot of time with our talent, because we really want them to know and understand that for us, we feel like communication is paramount. That is another one of the most important aspects of this industry, is making sure that you communicate. It's not just about establishing a relationship with your agent and agency, but also maintaining that relationship. And understanding. It is about patience and perseverance. It's like I said, that's why I say this is a tough industry. It is a very tough industry. And it's good to have someone that you can reach out to, that you can ask questions, that you can bounce things off of. That is what we're here for. Our job, I feel like that is our job.
How do you define an agent versus a manager versus, let's say, a scout, which is another?
Well, a manager, for me, I really feel like managers have changed over the years, because there used to be managers. Now there are also management companies. But a specific manager, for me, a manager was someone that really did exactly what they did, that they managed your career. If you needed acting classes or workshops or photos, you needed to get to a shoot location, get to an audition, that's what a manager was there for. They managed your life. Management companies are a little different. Management companies can have a stable of talent, where they can have a lot of different people that they manage. A manager really only has a few individuals. A manager is not going to have 50 or 60 people. A manager is going to have a smaller client base, because they really do have to spend the time, because they are your life manager. Agents, our job is to actually try and procure jobs for you, whether it's in film, TV, commercials,
Print.
Yeah. So that's really what an agent does. They negotiate your contracts. They pitch to casting directors. They talk to they really go over the contracts. They go through the contracts. So an agent is really that be all end all. That agent really does handle all the legal stuff, all the paperwork. They handle everything so that you, the talent, all you have to do is go on set and be an actor. We do everything else.
How do the Modeling Act that recently passed, did that impact you in any way? Did you find any changes that you?
It's a lot of the stuff. It has changed. It's called the Fashion Workers Act.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, a lot of it, the industry stuff has changed now. It's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, I guess, to an extent. It's a good thing for the models because it gives them more reassurance and safeguards in the industry. So things are more regulated for them, where they can only be on set for a certain amount of time. They have to have breaks at certain times. Having chaperones, being able to have somebody with them, whether on a location or going to a set. It's about safeguarding the talent, because that's one of the things that I think prior to that, years ago, like they had this thing called the Coogan Act, which was instituted especially for kids, where the Coogan Act was an act so that kids would be able to have a percentage of their monies that they made. Because a lot of times back in the old days, I think it was Jackie Coogan from like the Little Rascals, where the child actors of the olden days, their parents were the guardians of their monies. So by the time the kids got older, over 18, they had no money. They had these fabulous careers, but then by the time they didn't have anything to fall back on because the parents spent all the money. Now with the child labor laws, they have a thing that's instituted where
the special kind of bank accounts you have to
have
open.
a client trust account where I think it's like 15% of anything that a child makes automatically every time they book a job or a show or a commercial film. 15% automatically goes into a special trust account that only they can touch when they turn 18. They can put as much as they want in it, but I think it's mandatory 15% automatically goes into this account. So that way it's a safeguard so that when kids turn 18, they now have something to fall back on. They have their monies from all the work that they've done, which I think is a great thing. The Fashion Workers Act is primarily, I think, for fashion models, where, like I said, it's more of a safeguard against certain things that happen in the industry. So it just kind of really safeguards them to make sure that the models are really taken care of, where they have access to people that really can kind of back them up, and they have a law that now says, okay, you're not just bound by what an agency says, because we have to follow rules and regulations as well. So it actually benefits on both ends, the agency and the talent.
What are the biggest changes you think you've observed?
I think honestly, the biggest change for me has really been the diversity, the fact that literally all types of people are now viable commodities in this industry. I mean, you look at it and you literally see everything. Yeah. Which I think is fabulous. That's one. I mean, because we are a melting.
We are everything.
We are. We are absolutely a melting pot, and it's a great way, especially for advertisers, because now they can market their products everywhere, anywhere. I tell people in this industry that's why I would tell people when it comes to this industry, it's not about you. I do say that. It's not about what you want. It's not about what you think or how you see yourself. You are a facilitator. Your job is to facilitate the needs of the advertisers. What are they looking for? They are looking for you to sell their products. What product? Any product. Every product. It really doesn't matter. Age-wise, ethnicity-wise, gender-wise. Doesn't matter if it's something that caters to you or not. It's not about you. I tell talent, look at yourself now as a product. If I'm an advertiser and you're the product, who do I want to buy you? Anybody, everybody. If I'm Bic Pens, and I'm selling Bic Pens, who do I want to buy this pen? Everybody. If you were an infant, and you want a little pen, like, you know what? And you want to I want the infant to buy that pen, but if you don't have limbs, you don't have arms and legs, and or you don't have arms and you write with your feet, I want you to buy my pen. It doesn't matter. I don't care what planet you're from. I want you to buy my product. Right. That's why I tell talent, look at yourself as a product. That is a great way to market yourself. Don't limit yourself. There's so many things that you can do. And at the same time, in this industry, your whole entire body becomes a viable commodity. Because if you think about it, you see ads for everything, whether it's hair, eyes, nose, lips, teeth, back, arms, legs, butts, feet, every part of your body. But you know what? I have skinny arms. I have cellulite. I have varicose veins. I have corns. Who asked you?
There's somebody who wants those.
Think about it, because what you don't like about yourself, someone else may think is perfect, maybe exactly what they're looking for. You see ads for literally everything, all kinds of. You see bunion ads all the time.
Yeah.
People with ugly feet. Hey, those people are getting paid.
Yep.
So you think about that, and that's why I tell people, especially.
That's an eye opener right there.
Yes, absolutely. You have to be comfortable in your own skin. As talent, we look at ourselves. We are our own worst critic. That's why I say we can look in the mirror and find 1,000 things about ourselves that we don't like.
Yep.
Who cares? Who asked you what you don't like about yourself? Think about it. You know what? That thing that you don't like about yourself may be the thing that takes you over the top, that makes you buku bucks. And you're like, wow, I never thought of it that way. That's why I tell you have to have an open mind about this industry. There's so many things. There's so many avenues and venues that you can do to be successful in this industry. But again, it falls back to doing your homework, doing your research, and understanding the business of show.
That's
business.
Such a good way to put it, the business of show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you ever tell people, look through magazines and can you imagine yourself
absolutely.
On those pages?
Absolutely.
Can you imagine yourself with that advertiser?
Yeah, well, that's why I tell people, look at all the things that you see in the course of your day. You see ads everywhere, whether it's on TV, on the internet, magazines, newspapers, billboards, catalogs, social media, bus kiosks, phone kiosks, subway crawls. They're everywhere. Ads are everywhere. And what do you see in those people? See in those ads? Real people.
Yep.
People just like you.
Yeah.
Now, look, granted, we all can't be fashion models. We're all 5'9" or 6'1", and stunning, with amazing features. But at the same time, realistically, I tell you, especially if you think about women, think about women. The real woman, the average woman is a size 12. That is the real woman. That is the buying part. That's who advertisers are catering to. That's why this industry is so immense. It's so wide open. I tell people constantly all the time, don't limit yourself. Because the moment you limit yourself is the moment you have knocked yourself out of this industry. You have to have an open mind, and it falls back to that confidence in who you are, in the person that you are, in the things that you do in everyday life.
Right.
You are constantly on. We're on all the time. Think about what you do in the course of a day. You're always you're in some way, shape, or form. You're putting on airs. You're acting. Believe it or not. And I tell people, acting is not. I don't tell when I go to acting classes and I give workshops. I tell people my job is not to teach you how to act. My job is to help you hone the skills that you already have. I help you bring those skills out. That's my thing. I can't teach you how to act, but I can definitely help you bring those skills out, help you hone those skills. And then a whole new world opens up to people when they realize, I didn't realize I even had that in me. Surprise. See? If you just open yourself up, you'd be amazed at the things that you can find out, the things that you find out about yourself that you had no idea. Like, this is wonderful. And it helps build that confidence as well.
Right.
Confidence is paramount in this industry. That's why I tell people, if you're not confident in yourself, then why should anybody else be confident in you? It starts with you. And you have to have that confidence. And that is also going back to knowing the difference between being confident and being conceited. You know the difference between being confident and conceited. If you, like I say, if you are physically appealing, or you have talent, that's confident. That's being confident and being sure in yourself. You have to have that. It starts with you and it ends with you. You have to look at it that way.
The time for these interviews always goes beyond too fast. Just way too fast. Charlie, what would be the takeaway for someone who wants to get into the entertainment business? They want to either become a model, they want to be an agent. What would you say to them?
I'm going to use the Nike slogan. Just do it. Just do it.
Show up.
Show up.
Show up.
That's my whole thing. Just do it. Because you never know until you try.
It's a good rule.
Absolutely.
It's a good rule in life.
I think so.
And
be open, just be.
And you might not make it on the first try either.
Absolutely.
It's that idea of as you discussed, the persistence, the showing up. Just keep staying current with your looks, your
And look at yourself as a sponge. You are a sponge. Soak it all in. Take in as much as you can. You are constantly learning new things every day. In everyday life, if you are not constantly learning, then it's time for you to do something else.
Yeah.
Then you'll need to be here anymore. But you have to look at it that way. That's what life is all about. It's learning new things all the time, every day. It's constant. I think that's our goal. That's why we're here, is to constantly be learning new things. These are the things that give us, reason for life. That's what life is all about. 100%.
Thank you so much, Charlie Winfield.
My pleasure. Thank you. It's been wonderful.
It really has been.
Yeah.
It really has been. I have been spending this time today during this episode with Charlie Winfield. He's the co-owner of FFT Models. He's been a long-time agent. He was a childhood actor. Truly, this is, if you know anyone who wants to be in the world of modeling, print, commercials, entertainment, acting, you should have them see this episode before they do anything else, because he shared such good industry insights for everyone. I'm Dian Griesel. This is the Silver Disobedience Perception Dynamics podcast. There will be links to find Charlie, to follow him on social media, to get to his website. They will all be below this episode. Please share it, hit subscribe, and thank you, Charlie Winfield.
Not at all. My pleasure, and thank you.
Thank you.